A song comes on, maybe one you have heard 100 times, and suddenly the hair on your arm stands up, your skin tightens, and something moves through your chest that you did not choose and cannot explain. You did not plan it, it just happened. Scientists have a name for it. They call it frisson. That is French for shiver, and roughly half of all humans experience it. But here is the part that changes everything. The real reason your body does this has almost nothing to do with music. It has everything to do with staying alive. To understand frisson, you have to go back. Not decades, not centuries, hundreds of thousands of years back, to a world where your ancestors woke up every morning, not knowing if they would make it to nightfall. No walls, no weapons worth speaking of, no way to know what was hiding in the dark beyond the firelight. What they had was each other, and that changed everything about how the human brain was built. Here is something most people do not think about. Your nervous system is ancient. The brain sitting inside your skull right now was largely shaped by pressures that stopped mattering 10,000 years ago. It was built for a world of tall grass and open plains, of predators and rival tribes, and the constant low hum of danger. And one of the things it learned to do very early was listen. Not just listen for music, listen for signals. What kind of signals? Think about the sounds that still make your spine tighten without warning. A sudden loud noise, a voice that drops very low, very slowly, a crowd of people all making the same sound at the same moment. Your body reacts before your mind does. Why? Because sound is information. And for your ancestors, the wrong information arriving too late was fatal. Psychologist David Huron at Ohio State University has spent decades studying why music affects the body the way it does. His research points to something called the ITPRA theory, which stands for imagination, tension, prediction, reaction, and appraisal. The basic idea is this: your brain is not a passive receiver of sound. It is a prediction machine. Every fraction of a second, it is guessing what comes next. And when the music does something unexpected, something your brain did not predict, the system fires. The body floods with a tiny surge of dopamine. The skin responds. The hair rises. You call it a chill. Your nervous system calls it a signal. But a signal for what? This is where the story gets strange, and more human than you might expect. Neuroscientist Valorie Salimpoor and her team at McGill University ran a study in 2011 that changed how scientists think about music and the brain. They put people inside brain scanners and played them music that they had reported gave them chills. What they found was extraordinary. The brain regions that lit up were not the ones associated with aesthetics or pleasure in the conventional sense. They were the same regions that activate during sex, during eating, during survival behaviors, the reward circuits, the ancient ones. Music was not being processed like art. It was being processed like something the body needed to survive. Why would that be? Here is one answer that has gained serious traction among evolutionary researchers. Music may have evolved, at least in part, as a social bonding tool. Think about what music does in groups. It synchronizes bodies. It aligns breathing. It creates shared emotional states across dozens or hundreds of people simultaneously. Your ancestors sitting around a fire, moving together, vocalizing together, were not doing something frivolous. They were doing something critical. Synchronized groups fight better, they hunt better, they protect each other more reliably, and music may have been one of the earliest technologies for creating that synchronization. Anthropologist Robin Dunbar at Oxford University has written extensively about this. His research on social bonding in primates and early humans suggests that music and rhythmic vocalization likely preceded language as a bonding mechanism. Before humans could coordinate through words, they could coordinate through sound. The chill you feel at a concert, surrounded by strangers who are all feeling the same thing at the same moment, might be an echo of that. Your body recognizing something ancient, something it was built to need. But there is another layer here, and it connects to something even older than group bonding. Go back further, before humans, before primates even. Many mammals share a version of the piloerection response. That is the technical name for what happens when the hair on your arm stands up. In animals, it happens in two situations: threat and cold. When a dog sees a rival, its hackles rise. When a cat is cornered, its fur puffs out. The body is trying to look bigger, to signal readiness, to prepare. And when the temperature drops, the raised hair traps a thin layer of warm air close to the skin. Both are survival responses, both are involuntary, both are ancient. So what is music doing triggering a response that evolution designed for predators and weather? The most compelling answer is that your brain cannot fully tell the difference. Not at the level of the nervous system, not in the half second before your conscious mind catches up. When music builds slowly and then resolves with power, when a choir swells unexpectedly, when a single instrument drops into silence and then returns, your body hears something that rhymes with threat or intensity or sudden change. And it responds the way it always has. Not with fear exactly, but with alertness, with presence, with a kind of readiness that feels electric. Psychologist Matthew Sachs at Columbia University studied people who experience frisson regularly. What he found was that their brains showed stronger connections between the auditory cortex and the regions that process emotion. In other words, people who get chills from music are not more sensitive in some vague emotional way. Their brains are literally wired to connect sound to feeling more directly and more powerfully than average. The pathway is shorter, the signal is stronger, and that may be a trait that was once genuinely useful. Hear the rustle, feel the fear, move, hear the thunder, feel the awe, take cover. The ability to be deeply moved by sound may not be a modern luxury. It may be a survival feature that never got turned off. Here is what makes this idea land in a different way. Think about the music that gives you chills. Think about the exact moment it happens. It is almost never during the predictable part. Almost never during the verse you already know. It is during the unexpected. The key change you did not see coming. The note held longer than it should be. The harmony that enters from nowhere. Your brain built a prediction. The music broke it. And the system fired. David Huron calls this the sweet anticipation. The gap between what the brain expected and what it received. That gap is where the chill lives. And your brain responds to it the same way it would have responded on a dark plain 200,000 years ago when something in the world did not match the pattern it had built. With alertness, with a full-body signal, with the deep animal attention that keeps things alive. You have probably heard the phrase "chills up my spine" used to describe fear. And you have used the same phrase to describe a perfect piece of music. That is not a coincidence. It is the same system. Dressed in different clothes? The ancient brain does not know you are sitting in a car or on a couch or in a stadium. It does not know that the sound coming through your headphones was recorded by a human in a studio for the purpose of generating exactly this response. It only knows that something powerful is happening in the acoustic world. And it wants you ready. So the next time a song comes on, the one you have heard 100 times, and the hair on your arm stands up without warning, you will know what is actually happening. Your chest tightening, your skin rising, that electric feeling moving through you without a name. That is not just a reaction to something beautiful. That is 200,000 years of survival wiring recognizing something important in the sound. Your body doing exactly what it was built to do. Paying attention.